Hey, thanks for visiting etcanada.com. I'm Cheryl Hickey. Now enjoy the following Uncut interview.
What Do You Want From Me was a huge single, your last album, enormous, and I feel like with a lot of artists, sometimes this second album is a kind of coming into your own.
Yeah.
Would you describe this album as kind of coming into your own?
Yeah, I think the first album was kind of like working from the outside in. I had done American Idol and sung a lot of different styles of music. I was just getting to know my fans and just kind of getting into this whole thing, and a lot of it was guesswork. And I'm really proud of For Your Entertainment. I think it turned out great, and we did it in 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You
it was
did that
a
quick? Okay, I
fast
didn't know that.
process.
Okay.
And you know, the other songs in the album were very theatrical and kind of over the top and showy. This album, I had toured the world, and I came home, and I moved into a house. I got into a great relationship, and I was probably like living the most closest thing to like a normal life that I've lived in about 2 or 3 years. So I feel like the writing came from a more grounded, kind of real life place, which hopefully is more relatable to the audience. I feel like the music hopefully is a little more accessible to like everyday life. You know, I think it's based on real life living, as opposed to, you know, all of a sudden being on TV and magazines, which is amazing, and it's kind of a fairy tale. But I know a lot of people probably can't relate to that.
Is it a fairy tale?
It is. It's a lot of work, but it's.
Or is it a horror movie at times?
No, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work and energy, but it's worth it. You know,
Okay.
it's a dream come true. You know, I wanted this.
You know, wondering, you know, you've come out, and the big quote that a lot of people have latched onto is that quote that nobody teaches you how to be a gay celebrity.
Oh yeah.
You know?
That's the truth. Yeah.
But what is it? How is it any different from being a normal celebrity?
Well, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it isn't for me. But when you're constantly asked by press and fans all these questions about being gay, it turns into being a gay celebrity. And I think that probably comes from not having a lot of them out in the mainstream. So, you know, being one of the few, it's kind of a burden, but it's also a great opportunity. So it depends on the circumstance. Sometimes it's kind of a pain because I'm like, I'm just a guy that's singing. And then sometimes it's a great opportunity to be a role model for young people and to say, you can do it too. It won't stop you from reaching your dreams.
Is it tiresome though? Is it getting to a point where you're like, okay?
Well, I think the bottom line is I think everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's like there's no other way to be gay. I'm gay as can be, and let's like, you know.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's been discussed, it's been talked about, and I think now what the important thing is to try to create music that both acknowledges that and allows the listener to be comfortable knowing that that's my lifestyle, but also in finding a way to talk about things in a universal way, so that no matter what your background is, no matter how old you are, what your sexual preference is, what your political affiliation is or religious, there's something in the album that you can grab onto. You know, it's about the human condition. So.
And I think there's a sense of essentialism no matter what your sexual orientation is. A relationship's a relationship.
Yeah.
Life, you know, trials and tribulations are life trials and tribulations.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the beauty of music is how it connects people and how we can find the common areas, how we're the same instead of how we're different.
And you know, in a song like Cuckoo, let's talk about that song specifically. Because at times, I think everyone goes through periods where they feel like the wheels are falling off.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially, you know, being on, you know, working in the industry and promoting an album and being on tour. Like I said, it's a lot of hours and it's a lot of energy. And there were a couple moments where I thought, I think I feel a crack in my brain. It's split right down the middle. I think I'm losing it a little bit. But that song is really kind of trying to just own that and own your own crazy and own the fact that sometimes I'm not normal and I feel like a wacko, and I think everybody feels that way. And it also kind of like, it's kind of encouraging you to like let it out and just act that way, because it feels good sometimes to just be crazy.
It does.
Yeah.
Is this also, I noticed, you know, I feel like, and I don't know if this is true, did you decide to experiment and go outside the box and do some things you hadn't done before on this record?
Yeah, I think the first record, like I said, was very stylized and specific. You know, What Do You Want From Me was a bit of an exception to that, but, you know, I wanted to kind of go back to what I really love about popular music. You know, on Idol, I got to sing a lot of different styles. You know, I did sing a lot of classic rock, but I sang soul standards, I sang new wave music, funk music, disco. So I was going back to kind of like, I want to do music that people can dance to, but I want it to feel vocal, and I want it to be in the pocket, and I want it to be the kind of dance music that everybody can like get into. And if you look at a lot of the old like disco funk songs, they're timeless. No matter who you are, you're like, your head bobs to that. So that was kind of like the angle that I started seeking. And Pharrell actually was basically the kind of the gatekeeper of that for me. He and I got in the studio, and he laid down this bass line and this beat, and I went, oh.
That's what's up.
Thanks, Pharrell.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the man. He's like the coolest guy I've ever met, you know, and I walked into the studio with him and was like, oh my God, I just felt like such a dork. I was like, I'm not cool enough to be here. But he, you know, he's an awesome guy, and he's not pretentious or conceited at all. He's very like, he knows his thing, and he just wanted to create cool music.
On
So
paper, you're like Pharrell and Adam Lambert.
yeah, I mean, they told me, and I said, really? He wants to work with me?
Yeah.
I mean, I was really honored, and it was a compliment. And we had fun. We had a great time. I think we have very different lifestyles, but we were able to kind of connect on an intellectual, philosophical kind of place.
You guys don't have the same lifestyle?
No, very different actually.
Very different.
But and we come from different worlds, but that was cool. You know, is that it was kind of two worlds coming together on these two tracks, and I think the result is something really fresh.
A lot of people from a lot of different worlds, you know, you seem to resonate with a lot of different people. A lot of people wondering what's going on with the Queen tour. Some big I mean, you killed it, you know, Freddie Mercury.
That felt amazing to be asked to perform with them. I was like, yes, please, you know. My manager was like, is this something you'd like to do? I said, oh, what do you think, you know? I had so much fun up there with them, and Brian May and Roger Taylor are like completely down to earth, really, really great guys. And to be able to pay tribute to this band and to Freddie Mercury is like, it's a true honor. Hopefully we'll get to do some more.
That's what I was saying. Are you going to be touring with them? Because there's a lot of speculation about going on a mini tour. Yeah, of course.
So you know, it's kind of figuring out a way to maybe do a little bit of both. I would love to perform with them again, and I think we'll work something out in the future. But I also have my own music that I wrote to get out to the masses. So
yep. No, I agree.
I'll put it on the scale. You know, you know, I have different hopes and dreams for both things. So.
And sometimes with a big record like this, they want to put you on a big stage, especially considering the persona you have, and you know, people are dying to see you perform some of this stuff. The Grammys, I know sometimes are a spot that people pop up and end up performing, especially when they have new projects to launch.
Yeah.
Will you be involved with the Grammys at all?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the album will just have been coming out, so it might not have gotten a chance to kind of get out there enough, but I'd love to be there.
You've been a correspondent before.
Yeah, I have.
Maybe
yeah,
you can do
I'd love to go.
Maybe you
you
can do
know,
some
put on a cool outfit.
Some red carpet stuff.
Yeah, watch some great performances. I love the Grammys. It was really fun. And being nominated last year was like, when they called me and told me I was nominated, I said, what? What is going on here? It was amazing. So
there's a ton of vulnerability on this album.
Yeah.
A song like Underneath. How difficult is for you to write a song like that? And could you explain a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think being a celebrity, it's you know, kind of a weird reality. And I know people have heard it time and time again. I'm not whining about being famous or being, you know, in the public eye. I'm really happy to have this opportunity, but that song kind of talks about how sometimes you have to smile and nod, but underneath the surface, maybe you're not happy that day. Maybe you're going through a breakup, or maybe you're dealing with some shame, or maybe you're, you know, struggling with something. And I think that song talks about the pain and the struggle and the process that sometimes you can't show to the world. And so I think anybody can probably relate to that. You know, if you're going to school one day and you're having a crappy day, you know, maybe something really serious has happened in your life and you have to just kind of fake it. And, you know, it talks about that. It talks about what's happening underneath the surface.
And you've had some instances, you know, it's like the average person gets to grow and evolve as they get older. Unfortunately, you have to do it under the spotlight.
It's it's definitely like a new set of challenges and rewards. I mean, like I said, I'm not here to complain. I'm really lucky. But I think, yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect. I have times when I screw up and make mistakes, and I think it's hard when all of a sudden everybody's watching you, because you're like, wow, I had one bad day out of 364, and this is the one that everybody's talking about. So that's life.
How do you deal with an incident like what happened in Europe?
You know, you really can, you look at the situation, and basically what I did after that whole situation was I made sure that my boyfriend and I were good, and we were great. We were both just really relieved that everything was cool. And you know, all you can really do in a situation like that is take responsibility for your actions and move forward and try to turn a negative into a positive. So we've definitely, as a team, him and I, have said, okay, let's reassess our lifestyle a little bit. I've been juicing. I've been cleaning up, and and I take responsibility. It was not the best, most responsible behavior.
But is it one of those things where you leave and you're like, now I got to deal with this, or I got to deal with this?
Yeah, it's stressful. It's definitely stressful. But again, it's kind of one of those things where whether I ask for it or not, there are instances in which I'm a role model, and it didn't really sink in until I got home. I talked to some friends and family, and I realized that in the future I want to take more responsibility for my actions and be a little more mature in some of my behavior.
You're a lot bigger than he is, too.
He is a tough
cookie, right?
He's more sporty than I am. He's a firecracker. Yeah, and that's the other thing is I think the press might have interpreted what actually happened as a lot more dramatic than what did. I mean,
they love that because they love that. The press loves that.
They
latch on.
It's a much better
They're
story,
like,
isn't it? Yeah.
This we're flying kicks.
No. I think what was interpreted as like a violent, violent attack was actually more of just like a childish, drunken, sloppy,
that everybody has,
stupid thing. Yeah, that you see outside of bars every night. So,
Trespassing is the lead single for the album. I'm guessing because the album is called Trespassing.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why did you decide to kind of have that title and that song, I guess, embody the album?
Well, first of all, the song itself was a song I wrote with Pharrell, and it basically is a mission statement for the album. It talks about kind of the metaphor of walking up to a fence with a sign that says no trespassing and saying, I don't care, I'm going in anyway. It's basically saying like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I believe in it, and being a rebel and just owning it and maybe proving people wrong, I think is what it's about. And a lot of times, in this industry, I still feel like an outsider. So it's kind of saying, you know what? I'm going for it.
I'm in it.
You said I can't come in here and I won't come in here. So, and also the song, just the idea of trespassing itself, I think kind of, the songs in the album are very revealing of who I am. So hopefully it allows the listener to trespass into like my inner workings.
Who knows you better than you know yourself?
A couple people. A couple people. A couple people. Yeah.
Who you gotta listen to? You're like, maybe you're right about that.
I mean, I think the cool thing about the song is I think anybody that's in a relationship of any kind can relate to that moment where you're like, look, sometimes I'm not perfect. I'm sorry if I, wasn't being great or hurt your feelings, and I need you and I love you. And love sometimes makes us feel like we wouldn't know what to do without our other half, and that's what that song's about.
We're doing a special right now talking about how celebrities stay grounded. And of all the people, you're one of the people, I think, for the most part.
Except for a couple.
I mean, for the most part, in terms of every time I've met you, like not many artists who are of your magnitude decide to walk down the hallway and greet the press, and say, hey, how's everyone doing? And how do you, what keeps you so well grounded?
I don't like the feeling of being looked after and stroked and taken care of and always told yes, and I like doing things on my own. Independence is something that's really important to me. I got into this whole game a little later in life, and
which is a blessing, probably.
Yeah, it is. I think it puts things into perspective, and I don't want to be babysat. I'm a grown up, so. Yeah, I try to keep it as real as possible because I'm pretty fortunate to have kind of landed in this position. So,
well, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Always
thank
good chat with you. Your fans are waiting for you to perform the Super Bowl. You heard about this petition?
I heard about that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm necessarily the ideal, but I can sing the out of the national anthem.
I think you can too.
There you go.
Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you. Yeah.